Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of Prospect Pipeline here on the Flyers Broadcast Network, the first edition for the new season. Brian Smith, Bill Meltzer, along with you as we start to keep track of a whole new crop of Flyers prospects, especially after this 2025 NHL draft. There is a whole lot of reason to keep an eye on the college game now, and so we'll be doing that throughout the course of the year. Of course, we'll be checking in with the guys up in Lehigh Valley and all around the world as we keep you up to speed on what everybody's doing. And Bill, as the Flyers get set to start their season, a lot of the other levels, as is usually the case, have already gotten started. And the big news now with the college game, it feels like the Flyers are right in the middle of all this with these top prospects that had been playing in the OHL or wherever in the Canadian juniors and are now okay to go to college hockey. And Porter Martone, of course, is one of those names, and he's had a great start here for Michigan State.
No doubt about it. Can't ask better than scoring in your first shift in college hockey. And it was he's going to score a lot of goals, just like this one. Got himself in the net, quick hands in the net. But it wasn't just the goal. Obviously, that's nice. Scoring a goal. He had a nice assist in the game. Guy bumped him in the third period. He took no guff, went right back after the guy. He's going to be a fan favorite, and he's going to be a very productive hockey player once he's ready to turn pro. There was some thought, if you remember, after the draft, is might he try for the NHL right away? And that would have been an interesting decision, but I think it was a good decision to do a collegiate year. The jump from junior to the NHL is a big one, as we're seeing, Jet Luchenko trying to do. So that intermediate step of a collegiate year, playing against older players, other guys that are as physically mature as he is, I think that's a positive step for him. And he's in a program at Michigan State. It's a very good team. The coaches poll actually just came out shortly before we started recording this, for the national poll rather, and they're number 2, nationwide 2 weeks in. Martone's there, Caden Lindstrom is there, Riker Lee is there too. So all these guys are recent first round picks, high first round picks in certain cases, like with Martone and with Caden Lindstrom. That it's a very good place to be. That's a team that could be playing pretty deep into the spring. So
yeah. We'll see where it goes. And he's got another possible future teammate with him there in Shane Van Seghe. And, he is, a guy that's probably going to, develop with a little bit less of a spotlight on him than guys like Martone or, the Gavin McKenna's of the world up at Penn State. Obviously, they got going this past weekend as well. It's going to be nice to be able to, track some of these guys through some of these college programs this year that are going to start getting a little more spotlight on them here in the U.S.
A lot of these players Flyers took in the first and second round this year. They're playing collegiate hockey this year, so it'll be a really fun year to track the collegiate guys and some previous draft picks too. Mike Knubel's son, Cole Knubel, he had a really good year at Notre Dame last year. He's the guy that Danny Briere mentioned. They think he'll be a pro. You're probably in a year with the Phantoms or whatever, but so it's not just Martone and the guys from this year. There's a lot of really exciting collegiate prospects in the system. And obviously Martone got the lion's share of attention for the game against Windsor the other day. But I thought Van Seghe had a really good game too, and he's on Lindstrom's line on the second line. Very physical player. He's kind of a wrecking machine out there, honestly. He's very, very physical, not afraid to use his size. Another guy who he will fight for every inch of the ice, and you better have your head up when he's on the ice too, because he's a very physical hockey player. So that's I'm really fascinated to see if he stays in their top 6 group, if he gets some power play time or whatever, what he can do this year. So Michigan State will be a whole lot of fun all the season.
And also the Flyers have a pair of guys at Boston University now, and Carter Amico and Jack Murtaugh, and we saw Noah Powell on, and it popped up on NHL Network the other night playing against Gavin McKenna down at Arizona State. So they're dotting the college landscape right now. Are a lot of these Flyers prospects, and again, we'll be keeping an eye on the juniors as well, which are starting to get underway as some of the NHL camps start to filter their guys down, and the OHL, the WHL. We don't have quite the the guys that we had at the top of the food chain, if you will, in the CHL now that Denver Barkey and Oliver Bonk are in the Flyers organization, but definitely still some guys to keep up with now after the Flyers kind of restocked their OHL prospect pipeline with guys like Jack Nesbitt and Matt Guard from this past draft.
No, without a doubt, Nesbitt, I was very impressed with him in rookie camp. Even the beginning of NHL camp, he has to get bigger physically, a little stronger, has to refine his skating a little bit, but is a really smart and very, very competitive hockey player. And this is a common theme in this draft. These are big kids.
Yeah.
Flyers drafted a lot of physically big players. I think in the somewhat recent past, the Flyers had some skill in the system, but a lot of these were smaller players. I think a lot of organizations are following the Florida Panthers model because they are the gold standard right now that every team is trying to get towards. But big players, but also guys with some mobility too, because that's kind of the sweet spot right now. If you're big and you can skate, that's what teams are looking for. Then obviously there's the skill piece to it as well. Nesbitt has only played one game so far, but he had a really good breakout kind of year last year, for the Spitfires. So I think that I think he'll only grow in his draft plus 1 year, and he was not at the summer showcase, even though he was the under 18s. So that's some election motivation there too. If you're not at the summer showcase, it doesn't mean you absolutely have no chance of World Juniors, but it does mean Hockey Canada has some things they want you to work on. But we saw in the rookie series that Nesbitt was playing at the top of the lineup there, and he was going up against guys with pro experience, AHL guys in a lot of cases, and I thought he looked really, really good. So Nesbitt's a guy that at the junior level I'm really looking forward to watch. And jumping real quick from the OHL to QMJHL, Spencer Gill. I thought he had a really good rookie camp, and another guy who was here at the beginning of the NHL camp. I know the organization is really high on him because defensemen who can skate the way he can at his size, they're not easy to find. We'll see how he develops, because whenever you say the comparison player, it's kind of unfair because it's a guy who played in the NHL or whatever. But I'll tell you that in certain respects, just body type and the way he combines mobility with size, he reminds me a little bit of Braden Coburn.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're looking for the places to keep track of guys this year, Bill Meltzer's got a list of this right now on the Flyers website, but Jack Nesbitt is in Windsor, the OHL. Matthew Guard is in Red Deer in the WHL, and Spencer Gill at Blainville of the Q. So those are your three teams to watch this year if you're keeping an eye on things in the major juniors, moving on from the London Knights. Of course, we'll always keep an eye on the London Knights, but and as of right now, as we record this, Jet Luchenko's still here with the Flyers in main camp. He's going to be on the opening night roster. Does he stay here? Does he go to Guelph? We'll see, but we'll keep an eye on that situation. Heading overseas, Jaguars of Vragen is having a good start, as I think we all expected him to. Again, a bit of a mysterious goalie over there that we have not seen in any way, shape, or form in North America as of yet, but he's been putting up some good numbers in the KHL for the last year or so, and is off to another good start.
Just 20 years old now, and was putting up numbers as a teenage goalie. Again, you never want to compare a prospect to an established player because it sets unfair expectations sometimes. But he was doing things in the KHL a year ago. You have to go back to guys like Shesterkin and Sorokin. I mean, those kind of guys are now in the NHL and starting goalies. Typically, as it is in North America, goalies tend to develop later. So the fact that he was doing it as a teenage goalie, it's a very encouraging sight to see. And he was backing up the first few games with Ska, but he's played a few since then. And as you said, he hasn't skipped a beat from last year. And you'll probably see him playing some games with the junior team, some games with their equivalent of their AHL team, and then also games with Ska too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's the tricky part about following players over there, because they might be loaned to a team, a pro team in a lower league. They might play some games with the junior team, and it's not like particularly in Russia the information is readily available as to which roster they're
Especially
on,
for goalies,
especially for goalies. But Zavragin is off to a really strong start. And I mean, I saw some of the pundit prospects lists, which, with all due respect to those guys, I take with a grain of salt, because how many particularly the pundit types have actually seen, ever seen these guys play, right?
Yeah.
You can get the occasional KHL highlights or whatever, but it's hard to watch entire games from over there. That's why you really need scouts with boots on the ground there to watch them. And I know Zavragin was picked in the third round and whatever, and he'll have things to refine and to work on. But just in terms of his success level, coming from the MHL, which is their junior league, up to the VHL, which is their equivalent of the AHL, up into the KHL, he's had success at all three levels so far. So far, so good. All promising signs.
And then we've got a couple of guys to kind of keep an eye on in Sweden this year.
Yeah.
You mentioned the World Junior Summer Showcase, and a couple of guys that we're probably going to see in World Juniors for their respective countries. Jack Berglund and Max Westergaard, both with their initial exposure to the Flyers organization here in development and rookie camp, and now embarking on their seasons in Europe.
Yeah, Westergaard is up to a tremendous start. He played. He saw quite a bit of playoff time in the SHL last year, which is a good sign. Quite often, players who are not even draft eligible yet at that point, they're not playing. They're not playing in the top league, let alone the playoffs. Very smart, very competitive player. I thought that he looked good in development camp here. He was kind of playing a fourth line role in the summer showcase, so didn't get a ton of ice time for Finland. But he's up to a great start in the Swedish league this year. I think already 7 points to start the year. And again, he's one of the exceptions to the rule this year. He's one of the guys the Flyers drafted, not particularly big physically, but he plays big, and that's in a lot of cases more important than physically being big. And again, it's take name comparisons with a grain of salt, but little Pierre-Edouard Bellemare.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we usually start with the Phantoms. We'll end with them this year because they're still in their training camp as we are recording this. But their season is going to be rolling along here pretty quickly as well, and it's a new look there this year. We got a new coaching staff up here in the NHL, and pretty much a new coaching staff down there as well, and going to start seeing some of these big names from the last few drafts start to turn pro. Denver Barkey in particular. We're waiting for Oliver Bonk to get better, and he'll probably be on that list as well. And probably an exciting group to watch down there this year.
Yeah, I think just the combination. I think to win in the American Hockey League level, you do need some veteran AHL guys, but you're also a developmental team, right? So, I mean, you want to see some guys who might be able to help the pro team in the not too distant future. Barkey being prime example of a guy who, even if he's in the American League for a year, definitely a player to watch. Every year he got better in the Ontario League, and another guy who was really impressive in the in rookie camp and the rookie series. So that's definitely a player I'm excited to see. And you never want to pigeonhole a guy saying that, oh well, he's only going to be a third line guy, because the player comparison again. I'm not saying he's going to have a career like him. I'm just saying there's some stylistic similarities, plus about where he was drafted and whatnot. Brad Marchand, pain in the neck to play against, really competitive, and I think the best motivator to him has always been telling me he can't because he's too small, or
Right.
he's too this, or he's too that.
Yeah.
But yet he competes against the best players at whatever level he's been at, and he's been successful at doing it. I'm sure John Snowden will gain a lot of trust in him relatively fast, and see if we can see him play in all situations. That to me means more than whatever his numbers might be right off the bat, because that shows you that he's developing the way that the coach wants him to, and the way the organization wants him to.
Well, we'll start keeping an eye on things for them as soon as they get going, and we'll continue to do it for the rest of the levels here. So we're going to call it a day here on this first episode of Prospect Pipeline, but we'll be with you here at least once a month, if not more, over the course of the season, everything leading into World Juniors here at the end of 2025 and moving on from there. So we hope you'll stay with us here throughout the season as we keep track of the Flyers prospects. For Bill Meltzer, I'm Brian Smith. Thanks for joining us here on Prospect Pipeline, and we'll talk to you soon.